This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 7th year. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey! Oh, yeah! You know what this is? This is the Ramble, and we'll be here until midnight tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, from out California way, it's the lovely strains and the musical stylings of Larry Bobbles Brown.
Good evening, Alex.
Yes.
From the wet, cold, dank, dark West Coast.
It is cold, dark, and dank?
Yes, yeah, of course, with this time change. You know, we've been through this before, but I really hate it.
Well, everybody hates it, and there have been attempts to...
Many attempts, yes, and nothing ever gets done.
But what they're talking about is making it daylight savings time all the time, as opposed to just regular time. And I don't know what the difference is. I mean, it's still relatively the same time. And we're not really doing an accurate summation of the time based upon the galaxy by suddenly saying we're going to move the clocks ahead. Right? Does that make sense? Let's just keep it like it is. What time is it right now? Here in New York, as we're doing this, it's 5 minutes past 1 o'clock. All right? Big deal. I don't want to... Wait a minute. Yeah, we're on regular time now.
Right. This is the real time, supposedly.
Yeah. So just stick with that.
Just stick with one so we don't have to change.
And if you want to accommodate it at your jobs because you don't want people coming to work in the dark or something like that, is a very simple...
Start later.
Exactly. When you get to this time of the year, say everybody come in an hour later. Ba-bum. So,
yeah, this the first week after they changed the clocks, there's a 6% increase in auto crashes.
Really?
Yeah.
That I did not know.
Yeah.
What? How about suicides? Are they up?
I'll have to see, but there are a lot, just accidents in general, but car accidents go way up.
Well, April is big suicide month. You know why? People are getting married. That's the reason.
Oh,
why.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding about it being. You know what April is, though? Who's the guy who was the former... Michael Baden, former, what do you call it, coroner for the city of New York. One day, I had lunch with him and Al Goldstein and a bunch of other people. It was a Sunday kind of brunch that Al put together, and I was sitting next to Michael Baden. And he told me about April being what they refer to, you ready for this? Floaters Month. What happens is all the bodies that either die in the river or are dumped in the river, sink to the bottom because it's cold. When it gets warm, their bodies thaw out and the air or something in them works like a flotation device, and the bodies start to rise to the surface and float on the river.
Yeah.
So that's known as he called it Floaters Month.
Well, he must have had some great stories.
Oh yeah.
I was reading about the famous L.A. coroner, Thomas Noguchi?
Noguchi. Mm-hmm.
Yes, he did Marilyn Monroe and a bunch of famous people. But I once read he said of all the autopsies he did of heart attacks, he said he cut these people open, and you know what they ate that day? It was bacon and eggs.
Bacon and eggs?
Yeah.
Wow, you know what I just had for lunch? Well, it was bacon, prosciutto, onions, mushrooms, and eggs and things. But basically, that's what they would find if I died right now. Which is a distinct possibility, The other night.
As we get darker, I start thinking about death more and more.
Yeah,
sure.
well, you're consumed with death, right? You're worried about it.
Yes.
You don't like the idea.
No.
And I'm closer to it than you are. Although, who knows? You could walk out in the street today, get hit by a car, and you beat me to it.
Yeah.
But I got into this whole thing about I'm dead, and now they're going to bury me, and I've got claustrophobia. Well, of course, logically, how am I going to know that I'm in an enclosed space? But still, that thought terrified me.
I have the exact same thought, and I don't want to be in a box buried for sure.
Well, my wife wants to cremate me, and I don't know if I want that either. I think I'd like to be stuffed and put in a chair. Really, I mean, seriously. Don't people go out and stuff their cats and stuff when they die?
Yeah.
So let's do the same thing. Stuff me. Make sure it's good stuffing. And then just put me in a chair somewhere in front of a TV set. That would be my usual place. Or lying on the bed, But here's what happened. The other day, I've been going through this problem with this apartment, with the legal action against us.
Forever.
It's gone on 8.5 years, okay? Longer than, as I told the judge when we finally settled this thing, this has gone on longer than a murder trial.
It's gone on the onion field. That was the longest trial in history.
Okay, so we settled our part of it, right? So we get to stay here, by the way.
Great.
Yeah, but we settled our part of it. They're still in court with the landlord against this guy. So I don't know how long the whole process is going to take, but I foresee they could go for the rest of the week with the trial. So, so Marjorie and I think even the landlord said this. Somebody said, well, this is the place you can live for the rest of your life. And I'm going to die in this place, right? Now I'm not as fond of it, and I don't know why I fought for it, because I'm going to die in it. Every time I go past Mount Sinai Hospital taking a bus because it's easier to take the bus because it's an express from Midtown. And every time I pass Mount Sinai, I point out to Marjorie, well, that's where we're going to die. Because it's the closest hospital, and we're Jewish. But it's the closest hospital. So when one time Marjorie had a thing with her leg, and we called for an ambulance. For help with an ambulance and whatever, and they came in. Where did they take her? Over to Mount Sinai, because it's the closest hospital. So that's where we're going to die.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, I read about this.
By the way, folks, if you're listening and you're getting depressed, go away, okay?
That's what we do.
That's what we do.
There was, in Nevada a few years ago, they found an Indian in a cave, and they thought, and he was perfectly preserved. They thought he'd been there like a few years. Turns out he'd been there like 2,000 years. So that's the way to die. Die in your home and just be left alone.
Yeah. Now, if you're going to commit suicide, there was a, what was the name of the organization? The Hemlock Society, I think it was called. And they were a organization who promoted suicide. In other words, they didn't tell people to commit suicide, but if you're going to commit it, here's how you should do it. And they wrote a book. A guy wrote a book on the whole process. Do you know the best way to commit suicide?
No.
Oh, well, I'm telling you now, so in case you're planning it.
Yeah.
But you and I would never commit suicide because we're afraid of death.
Exactly.
You can't commit suicide and at the same time be afraid of death because you're going to, at the last moment, move the gun. Okay? But the best way to commit suicide is you find a mountain during winter and you climb as high as you can in it. And then you just sit there and freeze to death. Supposedly, that's the best way to die, is freezing to death.
Well, I've heard that, and they said if you take maybe some pills and Jack Daniels, that you go to this, after you start to freeze, and that's kind of uncomfortable, then you just go into this, amazing high.
Yeah.
And then you die.
Yeah, there's this high you go into, and it is good. And the one thing this book said is that if you're going to commit suicide, be responsible. Do not do it in a manner in which somebody has to come upon a disgustingly mutilated body. And it's been said that when people shoot themselves in the head, like at home, and their wife isn't home yet, they really did it out of revenge. Because they're doing it in a way that's going to be very upsetting to that person when they come upon the body.
Oh, yeah, that's a very big F.U.
Yeah, that's a fuck you. So when people commit suicide like that, I go, where the body was found and everything, I said he was just hostile. He just hated the human race and whoever was going to go find that body. I mean, would you want to come home and find this? I mean, if he took it to his head, his whole head is blown off.
That'd be horrific.
But if you go to the top of a mountain and just freeze, nobody knows you're up there.
Yeah.
And you die, and when they find you, you're perfectly preserved. I mean, who was it? Was it Mallory, I think? Who died up there on Everest? The first guy to die on Everest. They finally found him, and his body was pretty much in good shape. It was just frozen.
Yeah.
But they found it after all these years, which I think is very...
I think that whole area is littered with corpses that they've never brought down. People have died up on Everest.
Yeah, Corpse Mountain. There's no wind, there's no summer that comes along and everything melts,
Not that high, no.
Not that high. But
Was there, so the Hemlock Society, was that before Kevorkian?
I think that was before Kevorkian. They were fighting for the right to commit suicide. I seem to remember them being called the Hemlock Society.
Okay.
Then I'm trying to remember this book. What the name of this book was, but it's very, very good. I read the whole thing, and the various ways to commit suicide. If you're going to hang yourself, here's how you should do it. Don't do it this way because you'll strangle longer. Do this because it'll break your neck immediately and you'll be dead. So it's a fun book, folks. If you ever get a chance, good read. I'm trying to remember what the name of it was, though. But I'm surprised you never read it.
No, I never heard of it.
Because this is the kind of book for you. Since your favorite
Black Box,
your favorite book was The Black Box, which is all about the last recordings on airplanes, the Black Box recordings and the train. And what did you say? Almost every one of them ends with...
They all end the same. Sound of impact.
Is there a sound of impact if you're recording it? I guess.
I'd like to see what it sounds like.
Well, I'd like to know if the equipment fails first, or the crash happens, and then the recorder stops. So I guess it would be sound of impact. Guess there'd be enough for you to hear an impact.
Yeah, those things must be made incredibly strong to be able to.
Well, the old joke. If we want to save lives in plane crashes, why don't we make the planes out of the same thing we make the black boxes out of?
Yeah, I remember 10 comics were doing that in the 80s.
Yeah, that was a very common joke. Yeah.
It was, but it was a good one.
It was a good one. Very good one.
Well, we've all been touched by people we know that committed suicide.
Let's see here. Who do we know that committed suicide?
Robin.
Robin, of course. Very famous suicide. I think that could have been prevented if somebody had intervened into his mental state. That...
Well, the disease he had done so much physical damage to his brain, I don't know. It just...
what was the disease?
Lewy body dementia.
Lewy body dementia.
Yes,
it sounds like some kind of lotion you put on or something.
Yeah, but he had... I know his widow was trying to publicize this because I think, he's just depressed and killed himself. But that can't be diagnosed till you die, Lewy body. And the doctors said that did the autopsy on him said it was the worst. He literally had holes in his brain.
Really?
Yeah. And I know somebody that was doing, the last couple of weeks he was alive, he would text his kids like 400 times a day, sometimes the same things over and over. And he was on a bike ride with a friend of mine, and he said every 30 seconds he kept asking, "What time is it? What time is it?" So he was just gone mentally.
Wow. Is maybe that part of the genius that he had?
Could be, but this dementia that he had, man, that sounds horrible.
Yeah, Lewy body dementia.
Yeah, I think it's Lewy's, Lewy's body, Body.
Okay, yeah. Who else do we know that committed suicide?
Let's see, who else? There was a comic not well known, Ralph Eno, when I first started, and he did these songs, kind of funny, kind of original, and then one night he just stopped performing. He kept showing up at the clubs, but he wouldn't perform. He was acting kind of weird, and then he went out in the middle of the street one day and just set himself on fire.
Set himself on fire?
Yeah.
Now, if you're going to commit suicide, that's the worst way. If we just talked earlier about going to the top of a mountain is the best way, I guess being too hot is bad.
Yeah, that would not be... I don't want to be on fire, no.
I mean, I wonder how long... You must be in a great deal of pain for a while.
Well, the bad thing was he lived like 3 days after that.
By the way, folks, if you're listening to this and you're getting depressed, go somewhere else. Let me see here. Who did I know? I knew somebody that committed suicide. I'm trying to remember.
I know that there's more people we've known. I'm trying to think right now.
Yeah, I seem to think that there were a lot of other people I knew that that had, that committed suicide, but I can't remember now. Of course, we have a lot of old friends that have died, and in the next show I'm going to talk to you about one of them, so don't get to him, but you knew him. But a lot of people...
There's certainly been a lot of famous people that have committed suicide.
Like who?
A lot of actors. Gig Young, not a well-known actor.
Oh, yes. George Sanders. The best suicide ever.
Yes, exactly. You probably know it better word for word than I do. But
he committed suicide, and basically he wrote a note, suicide note, and it simply read, "Life's gotten boring," or something to that effect.
I'm so bored.
I'm bored. Yeah, he just got so bored with life that he'd rather be dead, and I can kind of understand that. Although he was not an old guy when he did it,
No, do you think if humans were able to live 200 or 300 years, don't you think we'd crazy with boredom?
I don't know. I am afraid of dying, but I'm afraid of living to be 200. It's hard enough now at 80, almost 82. The aches, the pains, the this, the that, you have the little prostate cancer here and the little neuropathy there. And, I can't imagine if you lived to be 200, you're probably just like a little vegetable sitting there, Now, if you could live to be 200 and still have your health, that would be terrific, Think of
you could live to be 200, but your body was like that of a 17-year-old.
Well, I think about all the things I'm going to miss when I die. Like, I was always into space travel. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut, before there was such a thing as an astronaut. And they used to call me Moon Rocks Bennett.
Really?
Or Moon Rock Schwarzman, because I said we're going to get to the moon in our time. And, of course, we did it within 20 years after I said that, So once we got to the moon, I went, oh, good, we're going to go on to Mars, and we're going to be in space, and then we just dropped, the ball on that one.
Yeah.
And now, all of a sudden, we're planning on going to Mars, courtesy of Elon Musk. And that's terrific, but I'm not going to live to see it, or I might see, I probably, if I live the next 2 years, I'll see us get back to the moon again, But, I mean... a lot of things I'd like to be around to see, and that's one of them. What I don't want to be around to see is the complete falling apart of the United States of America. I think this country is doomed. Just
I think we're
absolutely
doomed too. Or
absolutely doomed.
with tech and everything, I think we could easily be set up to be a police state.
Well, that a lot of other things. I think this could turn out to be one of the most horrible places to live in the world. Okay, and it's slowly getting there. You know, and I don't watch the news every day, so it isn't what's making me come to this conclusion. It's just nothing's right. You know,
there was something on the news, like on the internet, I saw about the three countries you might want to go to when the United States implodes.
Do you remember what they were?
One was Serbia.
Really?
One was believe it or not, Mexico.
Yeah.
And I forget the third one, but it was in Europe somewhere.
Well, you know, China's pretty good, you know, but you got to kind of be a citizen there to get any of the goodies. But you know, they have a very vibrant economy going now, and employers treat their people excellently. I can say that for my wife because she works for them. You know, they're gonna be a happier country than we are, and they're gonna be a communist dictatorship. Okay. Because the current guy they have gets to now be the head of the country till, I don't know, 2035 or something like that. You know. So anyway, hey, listen, that's we'll call it.
We touched a lot of bases on this one.
A lot of them, and I got some more for you next time.
Okay,
ladies and gentlemen, Larry Bowles Brown.
This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 7th year. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, everybody, how are you? Welcome. See, I'm a little out of sync. You know why I'm out of sync? Because I've got Zoom opened up for these people to come on here. And for some reason, Zoom causes this camera to freeze up. So I'm out of sync. Isn't that terrible? Isn't that horrible? Isn't it wonderful? Isn't it marvelous? Oh, boy. You know. But anyway, I guess maybe I should just go to them, although there are only a couple of them. Let me go to them. What the hell? Yeah, wait a minute. Oh, there we go. Wait a minute. I keep forgetting. I gotta do stuff here, like admit all. Here's let's see here. Charlie Wallace is here. Good old Charlie Wallace. And Eddie Jordan. Hello, Eddie. We haven't seen you in a while.
Let's see here. Charlie Wallace.
Oh, wait a minute. Charlie, you got to turn your audio off. You got to.
My bad. Eddie Jordan.
Huh?
Hello, Eddie. We haven't seen you.
Who's that? Was that you, Charlie?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I kept getting kicked off of Zoom. I don't know what happened.
Keep getting kicked off of Zoom?
I got kicked off 3 times. I had to log on 4 times.
Yeah, I can't. You know what I can't figure out is this whole thing I've got with my camera and stuff being off, out of sync. My camera, if I have Zoom on, or if I even have it going, so I can't figure that one out at all. But anyway, hello, Eddie. How have you been, Eddie?
Good.
Yeah, you're
Real
where?
good.
You're where again?
I'm in Vallejo.
Vallejo. So we have Charlie in Texas and you in Vallejo and nobody else calling. You know, this has happened 2 nights in a row, 3 nights in a row. And I am really considering, I hate to say this, I'm considering killing the show. Because we're not getting the kind of support that we should be getting on this show from people, and I would find some other things to do with GabNet, but this is not working anymore. I don't think. In fact, some guy wrote. Let me read you what somebody wrote. Sent me on it was a comment on YouTube. Dude, perhaps it's time to retire because this is just incredibly sad from what you once were in the 1970s in New York and again in the 80s in San Francisco. You were who I listened to, and it's out of respect for those times that I just can't watch this. Anybody agree with that?
Well, I never saw you in the 70s or 80s.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Huh? Yeah. Horace Schmidt. Who is Horace Schmidt? Or Horace Shit? Horace Shit. I think I better get rid of them before I even get going here. Let me see here. Horace Shit. Let me see here. We will. How do we get rid of them here? That's. This is. Let me see here. Boom, 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 boom. Come on. Come on. People can see me doing this. Let me see here. Remove. Okay, remove. Okay, we removed. We're going to remove him. We'll go ahead. Oh, Jesus. Now the whole thing froze up. There we go. See now, and look what they do. They put the report right in the middle of the thing so that I, submit. Okay, all right. Done. See, that's another problem they've got. They should have all that stuff go over to the side instead of everybody having to see it. But anyway, I got that note, and it was only making me feel worse than I already was from the last couple of nights' programs with nobody calling. But if it doesn't pick up next week, by the end of next week, I'm going to just, that will be it for this show, at least. I'll still keep the Monday show.
It's a big one.
Yeah. And I'll keep the Monday show, which is a good show. Charlie calls that one. Jeff calls that one. I don't know. I'll figure out what to do here, But, I'll give it a week to see if it picks up. But right now, we have, the best we can do is we got you guys, which is terrific. But Horace Shit is, unless it's somebody I know and they didn't talk fast enough. Well, here he is. He's back again trying to get in. So let's give it another try and see if Horace Shit is really an actual person. Hello, Horace. Are you there? Turn on your audio, Horace. Hello, are you there, Horace?
Yes.
Okay, now we can't see you.
By the way, that's an old moniker that I'd like to disavow. I wanted to change my login name to a different
but where's your
appellation, but I don't know.
Where's your picture?
I wish I could tell you. I don't know.
Well, where do you turn on the over to the side? It says start video. Do you see that?
Okay.
The bottom
left or bottom right or
bottom left. Bottom left.
I clicked sign in with video and audio, but didn't happen. Now I'm getting launch meeting on the screen. I don't know if I should click that again or what.
Yeah, well, I don't know. You've got some kind of problem. It could be. Do you have something covering your lens?
Let me check. Maybe I do. Yeah, I think
that's it. There we go. You know how I could tell? Because for a second I could see a little bit of light at the bottom. And I figured, so you have like one of those little things to prevent people from...
Yeah, I've got a camera that I tacked onto my monitor here.
Yeah.
I didn't have a built-in camera.
Besides Horace Shit, what should we call you?
I was going to change it to Hans Delbrook.
What?
Hans Delbrook.
Oh,
If you saw the movie Young Frankenstein.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay.
That's my favorite character because he wasn't there. He just only his brain was in a jar. And until Martin dropped it on the floor at the brain depository. And that was the end of Hans Delbrook.
Yeah. What can we do? Do you want to give us your real name or not?
I don't mind giving you my real name, but I'd rather hold off on that because it's the same as some of your other people that you have on your podcast, and I don't want just to avoid confusion.
Oh, okay. So we'll just call you Horace.
Right. I couldn't get that to change.
You see, here's what you can do. I can change it. People are going to see this going on here, but hold on a second.
I don't want Brian logging on.
Let me see.
Walking in and
rename.
Saying, what does Horace Shit?
What name would you like, Horace?
Let's go with Hans.
Hans?
Hans or Hans Delbrook, either one.
Hans. Let's just go with Hans or Hans.
Hans.
Yeah, there we go. See there? I changed it for you.
That way, if you forget my name, I'll just hold up my hands.
Yeah, okay. All right, I'll say Hans. Yeah. And you're calling from where, Hans?
Deutschland.
Deutschland?
The country that spawned both Adolf Hitler and the Trump family. So
yeah,
nothing to be proud of.
Well, actually, you've had let's see here. Angela Merkel is no longer president.
No, she's out of there.
She's out of there. But she was there for how long?
Oh, I couldn't tell you. I've only been here a couple of years myself.
Oh, okay. All right. But I think she was just out a few years ago. Do you know, Charlie?
She went
I'm
out
thinking
about
it's like
2 or 3
16
months
years.
ago. I think it was September when they had the election.
Well, she was there for 16 years.
Early October. I don't know how long she was there.
Yeah. But she didn't run again. She just said, that's
I
it.
think she was term limited.
She gave it up.
Term limits are 16 years?
I think it was something like that, yeah. She couldn't run again.
Really? Oh, well, that's amazing.
I couldn't tell you who took her place. I didn't pay that much attention.
Obviously you're an American, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
what my passport says.
what made you go to Germany?
I work for the government.
I
at
see.
an army base here.
Oh, I see. You're in the Army?
I was way back when. But,
Oh, okay.
I'm a civilian employee.
Yeah.
A government employee.
Because yesterday was Veterans Day, and nobody thanked me for my service.
Thank you for your service, Alex.
Yeah, well,
I've always
We thanked Jack last night.
I
What?
always preferred thank you for your sacrifice, because I was being paid for my service when I was in the army, but the sacrifices, that Marine soldiers.
Yeah, it was a big sacrifice for me. I was in Hollywood.
Yeah, I realize that.
Yeah.
Must have been hell.
Let me ask you this. I looked at every now at the people who I do the program where I serve, the server that I have for this program. Every month sends me a list of countries where I'm being listened to. And the second highest country is Germany.
Wow.
About 15% of my listeners are in Germany. Now, my question is that you?
I don't know if I'm 50%, but I'm one. I think I watch a lot of YouTube, and you're a little podcast. My favorite.
So you watch it on YouTube?
Yeah, but
The
problem is, I never watched it live before because it's 5:07 a.m. in the morning here, so
yeah.
it's a little difficult for me to get out of bed that early.
Yeah, it's a little difficult for me
My
to
age.
see you getting out of bed that early.
At my age,
Yeah. Boy, I wish we had a few more people here. It'd be nice if a few more people were to call. This is getting very very depressing. Very
Just to
depressing.
give you a little background, I've been a fan of yours ever since Sirius XM.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, and I'd been a big fan of Howard Stern prior to that, and when he went to Sirius, I followed him there, got a subscription to Sirius. But I would listen to your show with Christine and your producer there, probably just about as much as I listened to Howard.
Wow.
But when they fired you, I wrote a nasty letter to Sirius and said, basically, fuck you, not in those exact words, and I canceled my subscription. I haven't been back since.
Did you really?
So
That's
I
interesting.
I came for Howard, but I left for Alex.
But you left because of me. Wow. Well,
Basically.
thank you. That was very nice of you to do.
Because when they took you off, they replaced you with some shit that I didn't have any interest in.
Yeah. Well,
Plus, they pissed me off when they called the arch conservatives on the channels they were on, the Patriot channel.
Mm-hmm.
And I did 6 years in the military. I consider myself a patriot, but
Yeah.
I thought they were.
Well, I mean, it's
people who are not Rush Limbaugh.
Well, I mean, patriotism doesn't involve flag waving.
Exactly.
It's something that's in your heart, you know. And these people just do all the jingoistic crap, saying, "Look, I'm a patriot. I have a flag. I'm waving it. Oh, I put a flag up in front of my house." Yeah, but what did you do to make your community better? That's patriotism, right? Are you a patriot, Charlie?
I like to think so.
See, and Charlie, and do you like all those right-wing patriots?
No.
So you
We're
see,
fake patriots.
The jingoistic Uber patriots.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They call themselves patriots, but they want to end democracy. They want to have
Exactly.
Donald Trump be
Yeah.
dictator for life.
To them, fascism equates to patriotism.
Yeah. Well, so you work for the government. What do you do? I mean, you just
I'm what they call in the profession a meteorologist.
a what?
Meteorologist, not to be confused with meteorologist.
What is a metrologist?
We do calibration specialists. We work on all types of test equipment, everything from multimeters to thermometers to some really sophisticated stuff that the Army uses to test.
And so did
radios.
they actually sent you to Germany to do this?
I volunteered for it because they have I think 3 sites in Germany now where they have calibration laboratories
Mm-hmm.
on the Army bases. So I'm at a small base. I work on a small base here in Bavaria, not far from the Czech border,
Oh wow.
which is good because I can drive to Prague in about 2 hours from where I live. And if you've never been to Prague, it's beautiful. They say it's the Paris of
Well,
Middle
Prague looks gorgeous. Looks absolutely gorgeous, and it was the artistic center of that area too. A
Yeah,
lot of
definitely.
artists move there. In fact, if I remember correctly, the Czech government were paying out large sums of money for artists to move to Prague, just so they would get a lot of art in Prague. You know, so a lot of American artists moved over there because they got this check every month from the Czechoslovakian government just for sitting there and painting some pictures. So
You and Marjorie are still thinking of a place to vacate for a while. I would highly recommend Prague. I love it over. I'm going back soon.
really, gee, I have to think about that. Marjorie has always said she won't move anywhere where there isn't a good hospital nearby.
Yeah. Important at our age.
Yeah.
I'm sure they have good hospitals there. I didn't have any medical emergencies to deal with.
Our age, it gets to the point where you go, I gotta be near a hospital, and I'm. Oh, you know what? This is really depressing. Okay, I just saw a thing. Let me see if I can find it here so I can quote it correctly. Vernon's calling. Good for you, Vernon. But let me read this to you. This is on an Apple site that does Apple News and so on. In the newest operating system, which isn't out yet, it'll be out shortly. It's just a revision of the current operating system. They have a new thing you can do on your iPhone, and you know what that is? Set a legacy contact. And a legacy contact is a person who you designate in event of your death. They will be supplied with a code number, and they go to the legacy thing and they put in the code number, and then they get to download all your stuff off your phone in event of your death.
Right.
And you have to.
What if I don't want my daughter downloading all those nude pictures?
What? Oh, well, what they do though is they have to present Apple with a death certificate. Now, to me, if I were 18 years old and had an iPhone, I don't think I would care about the legacy contact. But at my age, I'm thinking, who should be my legacy contact? So. Hello, Vernon. Vernon? Oh, you can hear me. Just say something so I know you can hear me.
I don't see Vernon.
Hello.
There he is. There he is. How's everything in Kentucky?
Rainy.
Oh, okay.
It's been raining all day.
Really? It
You
was
should be
raining.
having some up there in New York too.
We had rain up here in New York this morning. There was a lot of it. Now, did you send that up to us?
I think there's some more coming your way too.
Yeah, does it goes? It comes from the south to the north, doesn't it? It doesn't. We never. It's not like it rains here and then we send you some of our rain.
No, not usually.
Not usually. It was raining quite badly this morning, and Marjorie had to get up and go somewhere. Oh yeah, she has all kinds of appointments, you know, and this was for her fingernails and a facial. And I said, well, thank God it isn't one of your doctors, because every other day she goes to a doctor of one sort or another. But so I think there might be something wrong with me, because I got the blood test yesterday because my doctor wanted another blood test, and it turns out that I'm high in absolute I can't even remember the name of it. Leukocytes or something like that. Lymphocytes.
Leukocytes are white blood cells.
Yeah. I have an elevated absolute what was it again? Leukocytes. And one other thing. And I don't know, is that dangerous?
No, I think leukocytes are good for you.
No, but I'm on the high end. I have an excess of them or something.
I believe your white blood cells fight off disease.
Yeah. Well, they say that if it's low,
if they're high, you may have some sort of infection going on or something.
Yeah, you might have an infection going on.
I'm not a medical expert.
A little infection of some sort I don't know about?
I'm not a medical expert. I'm not going to say for sure.
Well, what kind of infection could I have that I'm not feeling? You know?
Yeah, I know.
I don't have syphilis. That was one of the things they listed online. I don't have syphilis, and I don't have leukemia. I don't have any. Yeah, probably those things go up and down anyway, so I'm not going to worry about it. But when I'll have my doctor will see it, and then he'll send me to like some lymphocyte doctor or something, some lymph doctor, you know. But anyway, so how's everything where you are, Eddie? What's happening in your neck of the woods? Anything?
Well, since the last time I talked to you, probably like 2 years ago, I retired, or right before COVID started.
Oh wow, that was a good time to retire.
Yeah, well, they laid us off at the refinery for right after we came back from Christmas break, and I said, fine, I'm not coming back.
They lay you off at the refinery because of COVID, or just laid you off at the refinery?
Well, I was a contractor, so it was pretty standard. Get laid off like a dozen times a year. So.
Oh, well, they let you go and then they bring you back and let you go and bring you back.
Bring you back, send you to a different refinery, send you all over.
Now, do contractors get paid better than other people, or do you get paid crappier than other people?
We were comparable with the people that work for the refinery for my job.
Yeah. So anyway, then COVID hit, and I guess nobody was going back to work, right?
Got laid off December 26th, and I started my paperwork and all that. And I had a disability claim going with the VA, and that kicked in. And then I was able to get my Social Security started at 57.
Oh, okay. At 57? How'd you get that?
Yeah.
At 57?
With the disability.
A disability. Okay. Yeah.
And then since I had the Social Security disability, my union would pay my pension early, full pension at 57 instead of 62.
Yeah. And is it a good pension?
Yeah, I took a hit because I wanted it to pay out until my wife died, so I took like a 50% hit on it.
Oh wow.
But she's covered now. She's 34, so she's going to draw it for a long time, hopefully.
Oh, okay. All right, good.
And then 100% VA. You know, I'm covered right now.
Well, VA as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I got 3 checks coming in.
No, that's good.
I make about the same as I was working.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a 4-year party.
What?
Yeah, she just walked in the door. She works in Napa. She prints labels for wine bottles.
Oh,
nice. Important work.
Yeah,
because people take off those wine bottles and put them on their walls. You know.
she's an essential worker. So
Yeah.
That's cool.
And Jeff is up in Connecticut. Everything. It's been rainy today in Connecticut,
I mean,
right?
well, I went from Connecticut to Massachusetts.
Oh, you're in Massachusetts
okay.
now?
And I'm in Massachusetts.
This man is a
because-
world traveler.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And in the rain. It was terrible driving.
Oh, by the way, I wanted to ask Hans, how's things with COVID there in Germany now? Is it pretty well cleared up?
I read recently that they're on the rise, not as much as they are in Texas.
Speak up a little bit. We couldn't hear you.
Oh, sorry. I think they're slightly on the rise, the infection rate, but I haven't read too much about it.
Okay.
Over here, everyone wears a damn mask. You know, they pay attention to Samuel L. Jackson when he says, "Wear a fucking mask." You know.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a German version of that or not. You can't go into a grocery store or any other business without they require you to wear a mask.
By the way, I went and got my third shot, right? I got it before I guess anybody else did, right? And but it hasn't shown up on my Excelsior pass on my phone. It just says I have 2. So I was worried about that. So I finally went up to the drugstore where I had the shot, and they went online to the state, and they have the third registered there. So, you know, I'm officially got three-time vaccine taker.
Get mine tomorrow.
You getting your third tomorrow?
Yeah.
Good. Yes. Yes.
I'm due for my
Vernon.
third, but I haven't got it yet.
I've had my third.
You've had your third? Okay. So I've had my third.
So did I.
How about you, Eddie? You had your vaccine?
I had one Johnson & Johnson shot back in February or March.
Yeah. They say that you can go get a second shot with any of the others if you've had the Johnson & Johnson. You should go get that too.
Yeah, I got an email from the VA saying I could come in and get it done. And then I called them to schedule it, and they said, "Well, it's not you because you're not 65."
Well, what
So why'd you send me the email? You told me to come in.
Wait a minute. Because you're not 65, you can't get a second shot?
Not through them.
Through them. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
you know what? Just go to the local grocery drugstore. Most of the pharmacies are,
and they're free.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll do that.
Yeah.
But I can get any one I want now, right?
With Johnson & Johnson, they say, don't they, Charlie? You know a lot about this.
I haven't heard too much. I've been mostly interested in the Moderna because that's the one I got last winter. So.
Yeah, but they've said with Johnson & Johnson, you could get the Moderna or the Pfizer as your second shot and get another one. Because they're finding that the Johnson & Johnson, while it does the job fairly well, is not in the 90 percentile. Yeah. And that you can get it up there by going out and getting the Moderna. So, you know, it's a whole.
Give me something to do this week.
Yeah. So.
And that's true of Pfizer also?
Yeah. No. Well, Pfizer. What do you mean? What's true of Pfizer?
If you have the Johnson & Johnson.
Yeah, you can get the Pfizer.
You can get the Pfizer as a backup.
As a backup.
Yeah, they actually said you can mix them now. Before they weren't saying you should mix them. But.
Well, they suggest that if possible, don't mix them.
Yeah.
But you might go to a pharmacy and you go, okay, well, I want the Pfizer I want my third shot of Pfizer, let's say, and they don't have any Pfizer in stock. Yeah. You can take the Moderna or vice versa. Mm-hmm. I question a little bit Johnson & Johnson. They just don't seem to have the efficacy that the others have. But they're all saying now, go get the third shot. About another couple of months, they're going to say, time for a fourth. They're thinking of asking you to go out and get a fourth shot.
It's probably going to be like the flu shot where you have to get one every year.
Yeah, but this is like every 6 months. I got a suggestion. Why don't we get the Moderna or the Pfizer intravenously? You just have a drip going all the time.
And put it in your toothpaste like fluoride.
Now, I got to ask you a question about our president. I was thinking, when I was, years ago, I went to a pet store. What does this have to do with the president? You'll find out. I went to a pet store, and I was looking maybe to get a kitten, a new kitten. I had one cat already. I figured that cat needs to have company. So you get a second cat, all right? So we go to this pet store, and there is this cute little Siamese cat and kitten, and she's jumping out, up and down, hey, you know, take me, take me, take me. So finally I'm just going, we'll take that one because she's got a lot of spirit going for her, right? And we bundle the cat up and take it home, and that was the last time that cat was interesting. That cat, when we got it home, did nothing, right? Just kind of laid around the house and, you know, made it tough on the other cat, and was not a team player, as it were. Okay, so the reason I say that is I kind of feel Biden's like that. You know, when he was running for president, it's elect me, come on. He had all this spirit and all this gumption and get up and go, and you're going, God, he's an old fart, but man, he's really got it going. And as soon as he became president, he became like that cat of mine. What happened? That's not the cat I bought, you know?
Yeah. But he's better than no cat.
Well, I mean, look, you know.
Better than the cat we had 4 years licking his ass.
Well, you say he's better than Trump. Well, you know, but that's not what this country needs right now. We don't need better than Trump. We need different, and, you know, we need somebody who's a little more decisive. I mean, a little just he should use his power to get what he wants. And he's not doing it. He's trying to be a nice guy.
Yeah.
You can't be a nice guy with Republicans. You kidding me? It's impossible.
Well, speaking of Trumpettes, did you see where Steve Bannon was indicted on 2 counts?
Oh, did he finally get indicted for not showing up?
That came down today, and he's supposed to report on Monday to the court to be arraigned.
Did Bannon get a what do you call it? A pardon from the president?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So, but this doesn't. But the pardon doesn't work for this, right? Because this is beyond that.
No.
Yeah.
That was for that fraudulent fundraising for building the wall, supposedly. That's what he was indicted on before, and Trump pardoned him for that.
Wow. Well, nobody's there to pardon him now.
No.
You know.
But they're saying he may thumb his nose at that anyway, even the contempt of Congress thing, and they can't really force him to testify.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and you know, so much he spends a year in jail. Big whoop for him.
Yeah. Charlie?
I was going to say, they could force him to, by doing inherent contempt, they could force him to testify, or else he'd be thrown in jail. This, he's just going through the court, and he may end up, you know, with a prison sentence or something like that later. Could be years later, but it doesn't force him to testify.
Yeah.
With inherent contempt, he's in jail until he testifies.
Oh, really? Oh, so did they pick him up and take him to jail?
Yeah, but the Democrats won't do it.
They won't put him in jail.
No, they won't do inherent contempt. They just did contempt of Congress, which is illegal, which means you got to go to trial and all that stuff.
Okay, but he didn't get the kind where you got to stay in jail till you show up.
That's what Susan McDougal got, or whatever her name was. Where she was.
That's what I was about to say.
I remember that.
She was in jail for like 16 months, year and a half or something.
Yeah, I lusted after her.
Yeah, she was cute.
Yeah. I interviewed her once, and I was just I thought she was, I really liked her. You know, she was terrific, but she was also hot. Did Bill ever accused of trying to tap that?
Not that I ever heard.
Oh, okay, all right. I'm just questioning whether, because I mean, if I were Bill, that's the one I would have gone after. You know. Anybody watch the Monica Lewinsky drama on FX? It was actually very good. It was actually amazingly good. It was produced by Monica Lewinsky. But
she's a great interview now. I've watched several interviews with her.
Yeah.
And she comes across really well.
She's very smart.
Yeah.
She never was a dummy. What she was a impressionable young kid. Okay? And she had the hots for the president.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I think she pursued him as much as he pursued her. All right? But
more so.
Huh?
More so.
More so?
I think she pursued him a lot more than he did her.
Well, I think he was always very careful when he pursued people because, you know, he didn't want to come back and bite him in the ass. But now you're in middle age, okay? You've hit middle age. Now all of a sudden you've got this not unattractive girl, certainly not as fat as the one who played her on television. The one that played her on television was a lump, you know. And Monica had a certain. I would have done it with Monica, you know. I mean, if I had the chance, because there was something about her. Yeah, she was a little overweight, but she wasn't fat. She was what we call zoftig, or as some other people say, pleasingly plump. You know. And I thought she was very, you know, there was something about her that was. Did you feel the same way, Charlie?
Yeah, I thought she was in a certain way sexy. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, some of these other women that he supposedly came on to were bedded down, like Paula Jones. What a beast Paula Jones was, you know. But who was it? There was somebody. This is a great story. Name some of the women. Jennifer Flowers. That's the name.
Jennifer Flowers.
Jennifer Flowers came and did my show in San Francisco, and I said to her, we were talking, whatever, and she said, "Well, I did have sex with the president," and I said, "I'm not accusing you of not having any sex with the president." I mean, what a ridiculous thing to do. But I'm not saying that it had to, you know, and that she didn't have sex with the president. She said, "I had sex with the president," and blah blah blah. And went on. I think her affair went on like over a period of 7 years.
Yeah.
All right. And I said, "That's not the question I want to ask you. I believe you had sex with the president. I believe you had sex with him over a 7-year period. I don't doubt any of that. I have one question to ask you. Was he a gentleman?" And she said after each time he would call me the next day and see if I was doing okay. And I said, "I'll vote for him again based on that." You know, because it wasn't a question of did you have sex with him, but how did he treat you after he had sex with you? Was he a gentleman? Was he decent about it? She says, "Perfect gentleman. Even bought me gifts now and then." You know? But their affair went on for 7 years. And she didn't hate him for it. You know? She wasn't one of the women who was willing to testify against him. And his curved penis. You know? Remember that whole deal?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you identify his penis? Yes, it's unusual.
Bends to the left.
Yeah, bends to the left. It's called Peyronie's disease, by the way, if anybody wants to know what that is.
Did she have to pick him out of a lineup?
Yes, right. No, it bent to the left, right? Just like the president. Right. Oh, good.
Yeah. That's where it got his politics.
Yeah, yeah. But, you know, I mean, that was my main consideration. I mean, was he a jerk about this? I don't think he treated... I think he treated Monica kind of wrong in a way, in that when he had to let her go because all the heat was coming down, he just dropped her like a lead balloon. And
no, he got her a job with Vernon Jordan.
Well, she sent her to Vernon Jordan, and Vernon Jordan got her a job at Revlon, which she was about to start working at when the whole thing hit, and she had to go testify before Congress and everything, and Revlon didn't want that. You know, you probably wouldn't either, because it brings too much publicity to your firm. You know, But it was rough for Monica. You know, she had to move to Europe for like 10 years and work on an army base in Germany. No,
I haven't seen her.
she had to move to Europe for like 10 years, and then she came back here and slowly did things like her TED Talk. Do you ever see her TED Talk? And it started getting a decent reputation as a very smart, educated woman. So whatever. And I don't think she ever got married. I think she's still single. You know.
If you don't mind, I'd like to interject.
What'd you say?
I'd like to interject a question.
Yeah.
Regarding these all these celebrities and other folks who have been going up on the rockets lately.
Oh yeah.
If you call a person who goes into space an astronaut, what do you call a person who goes halfway into space?
Halfway into space?
A half-assed.
Half astronaut.
Half astronaut. Yeah. I'm really against space tourism. It so trivializes space, you know?
On that subject, I just read that one of the fellows who went up with Shatner was killed in a plane crash. I think it was yesterday.
Really?
Somewhere in New Jersey, small plane crash, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Isn't that ironic? Goes up in that.
It was up in a rocket, and a few weeks
The big
later,
rocket.
there was a plane crash.
Yeah.
Somewhere in New Jersey, I don't remember the exact location.
Yeah, well, the trouble is that Shatner, when he took his trip up there, they only went up to the beginning of the what do they call it? The
Stratosphere.
but there's a line. It's called a certain line, and they have a name for
does
it.
it start with the
The
starts
Earth's
with a B?
atmosphere has 5 layers. There's the troposphere, which is what you see when you look out the window. The stratosphere, where the airplanes.
No, this is a this is a line. This is a line that this is a line they've mentioned that it's not. You know, we know what the stratosphere is and so on. What it is the Kármán
line.
The Kármán line. Would you look it up?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Kármán line. And what the Kármán line is, that place between where you start getting into outer space. In other words, there's no gravity. And they just went beyond that point so they could float around a little bit, and they came right back down.
Yeah. Don't even make a complete orbit.
I don't think they even made an orbit. They actually went up, and then they came down.
They went up and came down.
Yeah,
How far from where they launched did they land?
Right where they took off. Oh, wait a minute. I think they landed in the water. They landed on
they landed on terra firma.
Terra firma.
Yeah, because they got out and hugged on Bezos.
Now the SpaceX rockets go up, and when they come back, when at least the secondary rockets come back, they actually come down right on the launch pad they took off from. You know, that's a big new thing because they can reuse those rockets over and over and over again.
I hope they don't launch any rockets from Texas in the future, because they won't be able to abort a mission if anything goes wrong.
What do you mean?
Oh.
Because of the abortion laws, huh?
Yeah.
You're too subtle, Hans. You're too subtle for me. Come on, I'm an old man.
I've been up all night.
There's a time lapse. There's a 7-second delay between somebody telling a joke and me getting it these days.
My brain's ready for the brain depository. I've been up all night.
No, actually, a lot of the SpaceX rockets are taking off from his own base in Florida. They're building this giant. I love going on YouTube and looking at the latest SpaceX stuff. They've got this giant rocket. I mean, it looks like something out of an old science fiction movie.
The Falcon 9.
The Falcon, it's huge. The Falcon Heavy, I think they call it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it is huge. And that's the one they're going to send to the moon, because they can land it and then they can live in that thing. I mean, it's big enough that they have room to move around and, I think a couple of levels and things like that. So, I mean, I think the stuff SpaceX is doing is incredible. It is just amazing.
I think the latest batch of NASA astronauts went up on a SpaceX crew capsule to the International Space Station.
They've been doing that. I think they did that already on 3 occasions. And these guys are going to stay there for what, 6 months, something like that?
I think so.
I guess they have to keep their rocket there. They have to keep their capsule there. So right. I don't know. Can anybody else come up? Do they have other ports?
They have more than one port that you can dock to.
Oh, okay. So other people could come up and do it. The Russians could come up and dock their people. But I mean, what's happened with SpaceX, and that's so incredible, is they've made space travel possible. I mean, they've made it easy. I mean, they're just sending these people up there, and they're doing just fine. They send them up in their pajamas, practically. Have you seen those outfits they're wearing? Those outfits were designed by a guy who designed spacesuits for Hollywood movies. And they are not functional in any way. It's not like oxygen is being pumped into them and they have air pressure in them or anything. They just, function. It's like wearing coveralls to work,
And the capsule has no controls. It's just like chairs.
Well, the one that
dials or anything.
No, the one that doesn't have controls is the Bezos one.
Bezos, okay.
The one with SpaceX, they definitely are flying that thing.
Oh, they have like a pilot.
Yeah. I mean, it can be operated from the ground, but they prefer to do it themselves, and they do it. I mean, and they sent up, what was the last time? They sent up 4 people at one time. It's like they were in a station wagon going to the sky. It's wonderful. It's wonderful what they're doing. And it pisses me off because I'll never live to really see the promise of space travel.
Well, if William Shatner can go up, why not you?
Well, basically because I don't want to take that rocket. That's not the one I want to be on. I want to be on that
first. Want to be on the Dick rocket.
I want to be on that first rocket to Mars. And they're coming up with some
one-way trip. The one-way trip if you do.
Well, they say it's a one-way trip. Not that people are going to die, but it's a one-way trip. Boy, a one-way trip because the amount of time. If you go there, they just want you to stay there. Yeah. Okay, it's too much trouble getting you back. And forth. It takes. I think anybody here know? I'm pretty familiar with space travel. It used to be they said it took 2 years to get to Mars.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's the length of time now, is it? I think they have these new.
Well, that was 2 years to get there and come back. So I think it's like 7 months or 8 months one way.
Oh, really? Okay, but then they're coming out with these new hydrogen engines or nuclear engines or something, which is supposed to...
Yeah, if they can accelerate the whole way, they can do it in a lot less time.
Yeah, and they could do that with a nuclear engine, right? Yeah. Because
the ion engine or whatever they call it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's some pretty interesting stuff, it's good. So, anything exciting happening down in Kentucky, Vernon?
Oh, I don't know. Other than the usual stuff, we're coming up on the year end at Habitat, so we'll have a few weeks off where we're not building houses over the Christmas holidays.
Yeah. How often do you do that? How often do you go out and?
I'm with the electrical group, so we work on Tuesdays generally, every week on Tuesday.
So it's a fine oiled machine. Like one guy comes in on Monday, another guy comes in to do the electric on Tuesday.
No. Well, they try not to have different groups at the house at the same time, like so that you don't get in each other's way. Like you don't have the plumber there when the electricians are there. You don't have the HVAC people there when the plumbing people are there. So they do try to stagger the schedule that way.
So now explain how this works with Habitat for the Humanities. You give people a home, but they have to pay for it, don't they?
It is not free. But you also have to qualify first. You have to be within a guideline, one of which is you can't make more than a certain amount of money annually based on the size of your family. And you have to put in 400 hours of sweat equity in order to qualify. And once you close on the house, you get a 20-year no-interest loan as a mortgage, which Habitat carries. They carry the mortgage themselves. They don't go through a bank or anything.
Oh, okay. But let me ask you this. You're saying that they have to do sweat equity. What is that? They have to work with Habitat for the Humanities for 400 hours?
Yes, but the good thing is you can have family members or friends do some of that for you, and you get credit for it. And it doesn't have to be on just your house. It could be on a different house that's under construction for someone else.
Right.
But you get credit for that sweat equity that you participate in.
How many houses?
The other thing they do is usually you'll have a sponsor who'll put up maybe $50,000 towards the house. A company will put up that money for the house, and they put a second lien against the house to cover that donation. So after the homeowner has lived in the house for 5 years, on starting the 6th year, they will retire part of that second mortgage, so that eventually, if they stay in the house a certain amount of time, then they reap some of that equity that they build up in the house, but they don't get it for free.
Wow, that's a terrific thing. It's just terrific. And you can't make more than a certain amount of money per year, right?
Right.
Yeah. What is it? What is that limit? Do you know?
Well, I know this because I looked into it to see if my daughter would qualify. She's single, and she made $2,000 more annually that would not qualify her for a house as a single person.
And how much was that?
$37,000.
So in other words, a $35,000 is the cutoff point, or $37,000?
Oh. It was at that time. That was a couple of years ago when I checked on it. I don't know if they escalated based on inflation or what, but she didn't qualify because she made too much money. And I said, well, honey, you could maybe quit your part-time job. Maybe you qualify.
Hans raised his hand. Yes, Hans.
This is nothing to do with what we were just talking about, but I know you're just a small boy when it happened, but do you have any memories of World War II, what it was like in America at that time?
Vaguely. I was born in 1939. The war broke out in what?
41.
41.
My only real memory of the war was
the rationing or anything like that.
Well, I do remember there were ration coins. They weren't even made out of metal. They were made out of like almost I know it was like cardboard. I hardly remember them now, but I do remember the ration coins because I used to play with them. As a little kid, you want to play with anything, you know. Oh, here's some ration coins. I'll play with them. You know.
Tiddlywinks with them?
Yeah, they kind of they were. I don't even know what they were made out of, but the closest thing I could say to it was cardboard. But anyway, and I do remember once a blackout in San Francisco. Every now and then they would do a blackout to make sure that you could black everything out in case there was an enemy attack. And I remember a blackout. I remember looking out the window and there were no lights on out there. And that's it. That was pretty much my memory of the war.
My only link to World War II was my dad. He was with the 4th Division on D-Day when they landed in Utah Beach.
Wow.
So he fought his way into, in his unit, fought their way into Cherbourg, I think, was the first port. And they routed the Nazis out of there. Well, he was lucky on D-Day because the Utah Beach was nowhere near as well defended as Omaha Beach.
Omaha's the big one, right? That was the big one.
Was the big. Utah was just the next one over to the west. And then there were 3 other beaches. The Americans were landed at Utah and Normandy. I think the Brits were at Gold and Juneau.
Sword.
And the Sword Beach was, I think, Canadians, or I might have some of those mixed up. But yeah, he was wounded in somewhere near St. Louis. Wound up a bullet. He'd been shot in the side, but the bullet glanced off his one of his ribs, broke the rib and it lodged near his spinal cord, so he carried that bullet for the rest of his life. And,
wow. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I don't have any story like that. I was just living on Filbert Street in San Francisco, looking out the window at the blank void out there.
Yeah.
But boy, well, that I just don't understand why wars even happen. I mean, what is it? You know, one day I was thinking about it, and I was going, the worst part about wars aren't that people go over there and get killed. Once they get killed, it's all over for them.
Yeah.
It's the ones who survive who come back and have to live with that trauma. I can't imagine being on, say, Utah Beach and storming Utah Beach with the bullets all around you and people getting shot next to you and killed and so on, and you maybe having to kill some people on the way up.
His best friend he was in the foxhole with got his head blown off. So I can't imagine that.
What blown up?
Got his head blown off.
Oh boy!
In combat. Yeah. My dad was lucky to survive it all.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, but you come back from that. I mean, your father had to have some trauma from that.
Oh yeah, he did. He had a lot of nervous problems.
You know.
He didn't want to be around him when he lost his temper, but I attributed that to the hell he went through.
We didn't do much for those guys. We do more for them today than we used to do for them.
Yeah.
And yet there were a lot of people that came back from Vietnam who we didn't take care of, you know, who had PTSD in the worst way. Can you imagine, even for a moment, being in Vietnam during that war? I mean, what a hellish situation. Just the humidity alone is terrible, you know, but then the jungles and the fact that your head could get blown off at any second, and you come back from that after, say, a 2-year tour, and you've got to be, you've got to be a vegetable. And a lot
I had a friend of mine that went there, and he's to this day he still has night terrors.
Really?
He wakes up screaming.
Yeah.
40 years
later. I didn't go to Vietnam. I was in the army before Vietnam ended, but I'm considered a Vietnam era veteran.
Well, it's funny. I was mustered out. I was mustered out of the Navy about the time the Vietnam War had already kind of been going on, but then the Gulf of Tonkin incident took place, and I was mustered out with some guys who were there at the time of they were in the Gulf of Tonkin. That's where I found out that nothing went on at the Gulf of Tonkin.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah.
It was all made up.
Well, I said to this friend of mine, I said, "What's that metal you?" I said, "Oh, Gulf of Tonkin." I went, "You were there?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Boy, that must have been something." He says, "No." I said, "What?" He said, "They sent us to general quarters. We went to general quarters. The ship fired a couple of rounds out into the sea at nothing, and then we came back to shore and we were heroes." You know, it was all a setup. And they finally found out that was true, you know. And, but I mean, so I'm a Vietnam vet. I mean, that's the weird part about it, you know.
What years were you in?
I was there from 60. When did I go there? Yeah, 63 to 65, I think.
Oh, okay. I was in 74 to 80.
Yeah. But were you there during the Vietnam War, I guess?
Yeah, the
Vietnam War started about
till 75.
Yeah, well, the Vietnam War technically had kind of been going on since the Johnson era.
Yeah.
But on a very limited scale.
Actually, it began under Kennedy, but
under Kennedy.
You're right.
Yeah. But it was called training. They were there to train the Vietnamese to take care of themselves.
Yeah, there was a name for
military advisors.
Military advisors. Yeah.
I think Gulf of Tonkin was under Johnson when Johnson was president.
Yeah.
No, wait a minute. I'm trying to think. I guess so. When was Johnson president now? I'd have to go look it up.
63 to 68.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And that was a war he just got sucked into, you know. Wait a minute, wait a minute. I'm trying to remember. You see, I have trouble now. No, I'm wrong. I wasn't there at that time. I got out. I went in. Oh God, when did I go in? These things are so far back now. I can't remember the years. No, it's 63 to 65. I think I was still working in California. I think I went in something like 67, 68. No, God, this has really got me. No, it would have to be earlier.
You volunteered? Or were you drafted?
Yeah, I volunteered for the Navy because I wanted to keep from being drafted into the Army.
Mm-hmm.
And so I joined the Navy Reserve, which was a 2-year tour.
Mm-hmm.
And then after you were through with that, you didn't have to go to meetings or anything. But I'm trying to remember. I think I did leave. Maybe I left in 65, went to 67. No, 67. I was already in Houston, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to remember. Boy, I'm gonna have to go back and listen to my life history that I did, because I can't remember the years I was there. But I do know
that covered under life in the passing lane?
Yeah, I've got to go back and listen to it and find out when I was there. I mean, it's really strange that
This was before you became a big shot.
Yeah, I'm trying to I'm forgetting the chronology of my life. You know, the years that I was there, and I'm trying to remember what years was I there. And I think I'll tell you, somebody, if you can look it up. I mean, let me look it up. Okay, I'm going to look up. This is going to seem very strange, okay, but I'm going to look up on IMDb. Let's see here, From Russia with Love, because I know that I was in. That was 1963. Okay, so I'm right. Yeah, I was in Hollywood in 1963 because I remember getting an invitation to a screening of From Russia with Love. Which you dipped in water to read it. It was like a secret message. And I remember, so I think maybe I even went in. I was in it. I was out by 65, I think. Yeah. Okay. Because I know I was in Hollywood in the Armed Forces Radio and Television Service when I was, and I do know that when Dr. No came out, I was in Sacramento, I think. So yeah, that would be. See, that's the best way for me to figure these things out. I just think about movies that I saw and knew and when they came out and so on. Well, it's been nice bunch of people. And it's amazing what a small world we live in when a guy is sitting there in Germany and his camera looks as good as the guy who's in Texas, or the guy who's in California, or the guy who's in Connecticut, or, you know, guys in Kentucky.
I've been watching your podcast for, I guess, about 2 years now, and I miss some of the old regulars.
What'd you say?
I miss some of the old regulars, like Robert Mitali. I always enjoyed his.
Yeah, well,
some of our old regulars. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder where. And your old paramour, Schmoody, is that what you call
Schmoody, yeah. She went kind of a little loopy on us, so, you know, yeah. Well, I wish they would call back, but, you know, I don't think we're ever going to see them back again. But, you know, it's nice to see we
haven't heard from Renee in a couple of years.
Renee, I don't know what happened to Renee. You know, that's
the gal who signed on a week or so ago, Terry, I think was her name.
Huh?
Oh yeah, from Wisconsin or Montana.
Oh yeah. Hey, listen, it's really nice. You know, and I thank you all for calling tonight. I really appreciate it. Call us more often, Eddie, when you get a chance. And Charlie, of course, you always call whenever you can, and we appreciate it. Yeah. Jeff calls all the time too. Let's see here. What was the name we gave you here? Hans. Please call us again if you're up this early in Germany. I know it's early in the morning.
I'll try, but it's difficult for me even on Saturday morning to get out of bed. 5 a.m., but I'll give it a shot.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And of course, Vernon, you're always there for me, and I really appreciate you calling. Everybody, give a big wave goodbye, and I will give a big wave goodbye at you. And then I'm going to try, okay, I'll probably be out of sync now, right? There we are. Are we out of sync? I guess we are. Anyway, let me get rid of them, and we'll, by getting rid of them, we'll probably be more in sync, okay? Anyway, thank you so much for joining us, folks. We got to get more people calling. If it doesn't pick up by the end of next week, I don't know if I'm going to continue doing this. I've got other things I can do with my life, all right? But this may be the end of the road unless I start getting more commitment from people, more participation. Okay? Other than that, I'll see you again, Monday with the pop-up show, which is always a delight and has a lot of people calling it. And then we'll see you, that's at 4 o'clock on Monday, and then we'll see you again on Wednesday night. Same time, same station in life. And in the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her. And by the way, if you don't have one, get vaccinated. And if you're not vaccinated, wear a goddamn mask, will you? Good night, everybody. Thanks.